You know what it is? Just it's not pissed off about the air. It's more the heat.
Yeah, right.
You know, people,
but I wanted to make sure it was cool in here.
People know where you do this from?
Yeah, it's in a garage.
We're in it, and it's one of the coolest garages I've ever seen.
Well, I'm going to set a stage here because I kind of know you a little bit, and I don't know if you remember, but I lived in Crest Hill in your old room, and you came up once, 1987. It was the green room, the little room with the little bed in the bathroom.
Okay, but this is where you're wrong. The room was red. Think about it.
When you lived in it.
They changed it.
But it had its own bathroom, right? And you came in and you said, you ever get a blowjob in that tub?
Yeah, because I got thousands of them. Literally. It's what I would do.
Yeah.
You know, I'd go down to the Comedy Store. What was the night where anybody could go on?
Monday night.
It was Monday.
Yeah,
so, okay.
potluck night.
So I'd go down there, and Ronnie Kenny would say to me, he goes, "It's amazing with you." He goes, "You come down to the store, you go up there with the leather jacket, you do your thing, you come out to the parking lot, you negotiate whatever chick, you point to Crest Hill, you know, I live right up there. Can you give me a lift?" You know, next thing you know, it's the blowjob in the bath. But, you know, the beauty of that was that, you know, I was hygienically nice enough to these women to let them bathe me first. You know what I mean?
That was the angle?
Yeah, I wouldn't even let them suck my dick till I was completely soaked up.
Please give me a bath. I'm dirty.
How funny is that? The bath, because it had an old-time bath.
Yeah, like it was a tiled tub.
Well, let me explain the room. I was in Cresto because people watching this.
Well, this was a Mitzi Shore.
Are you actually filming me now?
No,
I don't even...
no film. We're just on the mic. Mitzi Shore, the owner of the Comedy Store, owned this house. It was like a pretty nice...
And she's the owner of the Comedy Store.
Right, nice fucking house, though. It became a halfway house later on, but she let us live up there. Did you pay rent?
Not till I made it.
Oh, so she put you up there.
She had no problem calling my father and go, "He owes me $5,000," and then we paid her. And then she called a couple months later to get paid again.
Wait, she called your father?
Yeah, she called because he ran my business.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh, okay, and, it wasn't this weird thing where it's like your son is
No. He was what was great with my dad is that I was with the biggest management in Hollywood. I was with Sandy Gallen,
right,
who had everybody from Stallone to Whoopi Goldberg to Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it, is that I wouldn't make a move no matter what Sandy wanted to do with me till my father okayed it.
Right.
So my father would be on the phone with Sandy every morning while he was on his treadmill discussing the career strategy. Because from day one, my dad was my manager. I considered him my manager.
Well, where did that start, though? That started in Brooklyn?
That started in Brooklyn. The very first time I went on in Pips in Brooklyn.
How old were you?
I wasn't even 21 yet. And the act was a very novel act. It was me as Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
You know, his Nutty Professor character. Not the one Eddie Murphy did, but the original Nutty Professor.
Actually, I just thought, actually, I'm a human pity, ladies and gentlemen.
And I would take but in these two glasses, and I would mix together my potion, right? And I would take it, the lights would go out, and, you know, the owners of the club, Seth Schultz, he knew the cue when I snapped my finger, turn the lights back on.
Right.
So within 20 seconds, I had to slick my hair back, which I had more of.
Right.
Make the Danny Zuko curl.
Yeah.
Strip down from a giant tuxedo shirt. And now I'm standing there as Travolta as Danny Zuko from Grease.
Right.
So the very first time I went on at Pips, the way I put the act, let me just back up. The way I put the act together. Not dice.
Yeah.
Not dice. This is to get into show business.
It was impressions, right?
Yeah, but what happened was, since I'm 16, when Travolta hit as Barbarino in Welcome Back, Kotter, we could have been doubles.
Yeah.
We were like brothers, the way we looked. So, and the fact that I look like him, I'd make myself look like him even more.
Yeah.
That's what people do when they really resemble somebody on TV.
Especially if he's got some, he's got legs, he's popular.
And I was able to do a perfect impression of Travolta. I walk around school. You know, people would go, "You look," I'm in high school. They go, "You look like John Travolta." I go, I don't know what you're talking about. What? You know, and they go, "You even sound like him." I go, I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Carter says to me, "Vinny, did you do your homework?" Where? You know, it was So I would change. What I did, I went to a studio in Brooklyn, a regular recording studio, because, the bottom line is I never really studied comics.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a fuck about comics.
Seriously?
Yeah, growing up, I was into the drums.
Yeah.
I saw Ringo Starr when the Beatles aired. Then I became like a giant fan of like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa.
So you were a drummer.
Yeah.
That was your dream.
Yeah, since I was like 7 years old.
Are you good at it?
I'm pretty good. My son Max is beyond belief.
You have two sons?
Yeah, Max is, he goes under Max Silverstein, not Max Clay, and Clay's my middle name, so
Andrew Silverstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Clay Silverstein is my full name, and then it became Andrew Dice Clay.
Right.
But anyway, Max's drumming is like, John Bonham style, Ginger Baker.
Pounds it.
No, he really has unreal skill.
Oh, yeah?
And he had it when he was 10. That's when he started.
And that's what he's doing?
So, no, he's doing stand-up now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Same path.
Yeah, he's doing stand-up. He's unreal.
Is he good?
Yes.
What's
he's
his style?
Excellent. I say he's like an edgier version of Seinfeld.
Okay, observational.
Yeah, observational, but, he always comes to me with language and stuff. I go, look, we live in a really tough world, and people want to laugh hard.
What do you mean with language? He says, should I say fuck or
no,
what?
Well, he's really one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet.
Right.
But, some material you talk about on stage doesn't call for such nice words.
Yeah.
So I tell him, look, I have no right to tell you what you can and can't say on stage.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to become the performer you want to become.
Yeah.
So he does his thing. But
did he grow up?
That's why I say he's like edgy Seinfeld, because he is observational.
Right.
But yet, if he's taught, the whole thing about women today.
Yeah.
Like what he's experiencing.
Yeah.
Is you just can't be nice to them. So he talks about that on stage. He goes, because I'm a really nice guy.
Right.
And I don't want to do his material, but when he talks to me about like any girl that he's met, like the girl next door.
Yeah.
And then the next day she wants nothing to do with him.
Right.
And he's only trying to be nice to her. And it's almost like the guy is in the position like years ago, a guy would be with a girl, have a one-night stand, and then go, well, I'm not really into a heavy relationship right now. Now it's the girls saying that to guys. I'll say to him, Max, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
These little fucking slobs, they come over to the club, right? None of them are in comedy.
Right.
They come in a little
You're
pack.
talking about the women.
Yeah, the ones he's meeting.
Right.
I go, and they all look like the girl next door, but yet they're not involved even in show business.
Right.
They're looking for the guy with the development deal with ABC.
Right.
That 15 years from now, they're making a living from that guy for the rest of their life.
So you think they're just parasites looking for the cash?
Yeah, they're hunting.
Yeah. And is that, hold on, let me shut this door. You think does that still go on at this store? You feel that?
It goes on everywhere.
But it's very funny to me that a nice kid is coming to you as a father for advice about women.
Well, you know what it is? As a father, I'm a different type of guy.
Well, I think that's interesting to me because, a lot of guys, when I was with you at the Comedy Store, I saw you, I was a doorman, and Dice was just starting to blow up. You had the whole thing, the big jacket, and the whole thing, and it must have been 1988.
I took off in 88. Yeah.
Right. So, I was right there at the beginning of that. And then there were these other guys, like Fat Todd Lemish and Jimmy Schubert, who I was hanging out with, who knew you as Andrew Silverstein on some level. So I was always sort of curious about who that
I've
guy
always
is.
More or less been a family man.
Yeah.
I just got married for the third time. If I was really like my stage persona, I wouldn't be with a girl for more than an hour and a half, maybe.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I do love sex. I do, really focus on that in a relationship because, people, it's like I even my sons have no problem coming to me and talking to me. I got two boys.
Yeah.
About anything.
Yeah.
Because you got to be honest with your kids or else they grow up not knowing anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, if a kid is having a problem with a girl.
Yeah.
Or with the sexual thing, let's say.
Yeah.
If you don't have who to talk to, you go out of your mind.
Well, what's your advice? If I said, how do I get a girl to, fuck me?
Well, no, he doesn't ask like that.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
How do you?
He'll just if he meets a girl.
Yeah.
He'll well, what do you think?
Yeah.
And depending on the situation, I give him true, honest advice.
Yeah.
I teach them. No means no.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Right.
I go. Never do anything a girl doesn't want you to do.
Yeah.
Always be a gentleman, even though you want to be a little edgy with them because they want the bad boy image. You still got to be a sweet guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, my real life you know, you haven't seen me around for a decade because, you know what? I went through a rough divorce.
Horrible, right?
Yeah, pretty horrible. But both my sons live with me, and I wouldn't have traded that for anything in the world.
Was that the one you were with in 1988?
Yeah.
The nickname Cheesecake or something?
Well, we won't talk about it,
sorry.
you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that'll just be a lawsuit.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, that bad,
You know,
huh?
she
Okay.
But
I'm just trying to get a point of
yeah,
reference.
and it's a
'cause
decade later. You
Sure,
know?
yeah.
But the fact is, you know, when I went through that breakup, I didn't give a fuck about my career. I didn't have managers, publicists, agents.
Yeah.
You know, I would just do like club gigs and come right home and take care of my boys. And then the last year and a half, I was doing these smaller rooms like in Vegas just to make a living.
Right.
So I could be near my sons.
Okay, so that
You
was
know?
really the big choice was just
Yeah,
to make...
I didn't give a fuck. You know, if you don't if you have kids,
Yeah.
you got to fucking bring them up.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you see the dummies walking around out there.
Yeah.
So I've always been about accomplishment, but who gives a fuck about movies, TV, if I got 2 kids that grow up like fucking morons?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to bring up good, well-balanced kids that are also focused on their lives and the things they want to do.
Yeah.
You know,
That's great.
that's the biggest
Well,
accomplishment.
how were you brought up?
Well, I was brought up good. I was brought up,
Your parents stayed married?
You know, I'm from Brooklyn,
Yeah.
so people in Brooklyn are very grounded, very down to earth.
What kind of business were you folks in? When you
Well,
were growing
my
up?
father, my mother didn't work, but my father could do anything. He did everything from retail toy stores to the building line to a process serving agency. Mm-hmm. And when I came into comedy, I started working with my father so I could do the comedy at night, and he started managing me.
Yeah.
And that was exciting because while guys were making $20 a night because of the Jerry Lewis Travolta act,
Yeah.
he was getting me like $1,000 a night to play these big discos.
At 22.
Because Travolta was the biggest thing in the world. So
had
I
it-
would
had-
end my act with doing Grease Lightning.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it was a very polished act. When I saw Travolta
Yeah.
in Grease,
Right.
I realized, okay, I know what my act could be. Because
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to acting school.
Right.
You know, I just don't believe in it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is you either have natural ability or you don't.
Yeah.
And the point is I was looking at rock stars
Mm-hmm.
and movie stars, and when I started doing the comedy, I was doing this crazy little act.
Yeah.
That the first time I went on at Pips, they hired me to headline that weekend.
Yeah.
And I said, because the place when I turned into Travolta, the audience actually broke the club apart. Because I looked so like him and sounded so like him. When I
Yeah.
came on as Jerry Lewis going,
Well, actually, ladies and gentlemen,
and my whole family sitting there watching this like from when I was 7 years old. And now to see me with a giant tuxedo shirt, my hair with the faux hawk greased forward,
Yeah.
and the entire audience is booing me. It's a Brooklyn fucking audience with the air conditioner on in the club. And then I take the potion, turn into Travolta, and the place went from hatred to complete awe. And they were throwing tables over. And as I'm leaving the club, Seth and Marty Schultz stop me at the door, and they go, "Who are you?" You know? And I go, "Well, this is my first time on." They go, "Well, we want you to headline this weekend." They go, "Who's your manager?" And I look at my father, and I go, "Well, he is." And that's how the whole thing started. But then at the Comedy Store, the act took me so far.
You never watched, you never saw Andy Kaufman or anything? Like, like the transition
Andy
thing?
Kaufman I loved.
Right.
With the Elvis thing
right.
that beyond belief.
Right. That
You know?
didn't influence you at all? I mean, initially?
No, Andy Kaufman didn't influence me. The only one that did influence me was Jerry Lewis's movie. The
It's so
Nutty
funny
Professor.
when you do the Jerry Lewis, your fucking face just turns into Jerry Lewis.
Well, you know, the glasses go down.
actually, not to seem didactic or facetious in any way, Miss Birdie.
You know, and then you're turning into you're gonna die. Listen to this, you know, and then I started adding impressions like Stallone. You know, I would do like Sly Stallone if he did Rocky in French.
Right.
You know, I'd be like, absolument, you know, and then I would do the old time Pacino before his voice changed. Like now, like you see him in movies like Donnie Brasco, he's like, wise guy's always right.
Yeah.
Even when he's wrong, he's right. But the old Pacino, you know, from Dog Day Afternoon is, I'm dying over here. Serpico, Sid, get those fucking cops away from the door. I mean, he's completely changed.
Yeah. Now he's just like very explosive. Everything's explosive. It's a little weird. All right, so
when a man makes a handshake, a deal, Yeah, no, I loved it. But what I'm getting at is that the characters I'd watch in film really affected me.
Not comedians.
Not comedians.
Right.
And when I came to the Comedy Store and realized, all right, no producer is buying me to play Jerry Lewis. So I have to start becoming whatever I am on stage. And I would watch all the comics, guys like, at that time, from Seinfeld to Leno and they were all great.
Louis Anderson.
They were all great, but what I feel comedians are missing, that's why I don't think comics went to rock star status, was performance. And that's what I got from Elvis.
Spectacle.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Theatrical.
Sure.
And so after 5-6 minutes, I walk out of the room, not because they were bad, because I was bored, and I decided if I'm going to stay in stand-up and develop this, I want to create the most exciting stand-up ever. I want to create the Elvis of stand-up.
Well, okay, so let's
something more exciting for people.
We'll paint a picture of the Comedy Store at that time, because I remember hanging around those hallways and seeing those pictures. And who was in your that generation? And when you got there, how old were you? 22?
No, I was just 21.
So you get to the Comedy Store, 21. Mitzi's nuts, and she loves you, right? She decided,
well, Mitzi, the night I met her. See, I didn't even give a fuck who she was, because I wasn't into comedy. I didn't care. Mitchell Walters.
None of it mattered.
Mitchell Walters saw me in Brooklyn.
Yeah. You like Mitchell, though, right?
Yeah, I love Mitchell.
Yeah.
Mitchell, one of the greatest joke writer ever.
Yeah.
And he was calling my father in the office. We're doing process serving, going, I talked to Mitzi about Andrew. He's got to come out here. She wants to see him. I'm telling you, it'll be great for him.
Yeah.
So when I get to the Comedy Store, the auditions were supposed to be like 5 minutes, something like that. I do 28 minutes.
Right.
Because I got a whole act I'm doing. So this guy stops me when I come off stage, and the thing about me is, like I tell people, like good behavior really never came naturally to me.
Yeah.
Because of the way I grew up and everything. And
what do you mean, you were a dick?
No, I was tough.
Yeah.
I had lots of fights.
Really? You used to get in fights?
Yeah. Lots of them. And I didn't win them all, trust me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the toughest guy in the world, but I had no problem going toe-to-toe with anybody.
Right.
I had my nose busted. I was put in the hospital a few times.
Just because of the streets of Brooklyn, or
Yeah,
what?
that's all it was. I wasn't a bully. I was more of a tough guy.
Right.
It was, when the bullies would fuck with me, I would take them apart, and that was it.
Were you a sports guy or anything?
No, not into sports.
Yeah.
But what happened was, so I do this 28-minute audition,
right,
and I'm coming off the stage, and this guy gets in my face and starts screaming at me, and I'm still really fucking cocky, but at that time, I was, my fuse was lit all the time.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, who the fuck you think you are doing 28 minutes? And I'm going, all right, Andrew, you're not in Brooklyn. You don't know this guy. And I go, are you the owner? Are you the owner of the club? And he goes, no. I go, then you should really just step to the side. I go, that's your last warning. Your final warning is when you're waking up, And then I leave the Comedy Store, and the next day I get a call. Mitzi wants to make you a regular.
Yeah.
To be, that's a big deal thing for people listening. To become a regular at the Comedy Store is the same place from everywhere from Eddie Murphy to Richard Pryor to Steve Martin to Robin Williams to all the new guys coming up.
Yep.
It's an honor.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that much. I'm not
your name
stupid.
on the wall.
So she sends me to the Westwood Comedy Store, and I get a call there. Mitzi wants to meet you. I'm like, yeah, okay. What's the, and they, no, you got to come here now.
You didn't really understand the whole mythology of the place.
No. And I'm going, well, who the fuck is she? Can't I see her tomorrow? I'm with some chick,
And you were the only guy that ever said that, I'm sure. Everyone else was like, oh, my God, Mitzi's coming.
But there was this lady, Estelle, that worked at the Comedy Store in Westwood. She goes, no, Mitzi's the owner. Go over there. Say hello.
Right.
So, I come there with this girl and my friends that live out in L.A., and she just looks at me and she goes, you're a real movie star. You don't know that. She goes, and she's standing with Mitchell Walters, August Hamilton, Ollie Joe Prater, Alan Stevens. That was like her little group, And I go, well, she goes, how long are you going to be here? I go, well, I'm leaving, like in a week.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, no, you can't leave. She goes, you're a movie star. She goes, you look like Bugsy Siegel. You know, she goes, you don't understand. She goes, comics don't look like you.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just telling you what she said. I'm not bragging about anything.
No. But did she try to fuck you?
No.
No.
That was the thing.
That was rare.
Well, you know what it was? I was already, going with her daughter a little.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
How
on the
did
way
that-
to L.A.,
Yeah.
I stopped in La Jolla because my sister lived there with her husband.
Right.
And I came to that comedy store because I figured I'll go on this night, before I go to L.A., and there was some bartender that goes, oh, you can't just, come in and go on. You got to talk to the owner. And it was her daughter.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something started there that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got practicing for L.A.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Mitzi didn't try to do nothing. And when I got involved at the comedy store, I love girls. And I would tell Mitzi, look, I really like your daughter, but I'm not looking to get married. I didn't come out here to get married. I came out here to make it, And she goes, well, I don't see nothing,
What
and
do you
I'm
mean?
like,
What do you
meaning
mean?
she don't see anything. If I'm talking to a girl, I'm going, wow, that's
Oh,
a
I
weird
see.
family. You know what I mean? The mother don't give a shit,
Yeah.
But, I was 21, I was
yeah.
knocking them down like dominoes,
Yeah.
That's what I would do,
Yeah, I do. It's so funny because I saw you recently. Like I hadn't seen you in a long time, and I since I worked the door really, and then maybe a year ago you came in. You did like 45 minutes in the OR, just straight up talking about going to Staples, and it was fucking hilarious.
Oh, the shredder bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
like-
actually reminded me of a bit I haven't been doing. Thank
you should do it. It's so
No, it's a
fucking-
great bit, but it just takes so much time. I get bored to fucking
But it was
tears.
very interesting though, to see you with because I had this time lapse, like I missed a whole chunk of your life, and then you're just up there where you're at
Yeah, and
now
I'm with my
talking.
kids getting school supplies.
Right.
But it's a true story. This guy
No, it's
came
hilarious.
over and he says to me like that. He goes, they're having a sale on shredders, on paper shredders. I'm going, do I know you? Because I don't like strangers. I'm not a people person that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, do me a favor, walk away from me, okay? I'm just waiting for my kids. And then he actually walked by again and said, he goes, they're really having a sale on shredders. I'm going, but now I'm noticing the fucking shredders. They're all stacked up.
Yeah.
So I figured, maybe this guy knows what he's talking. I don't even have paper to shred, so I had to buy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I got it home, I was like, how does this fucking thing work? And when I put the piece of paper in, the noise it made was so fucking angry. Then I go, this is fucking great. Then I did. I started putting in CDs.
Everything.
And the next thing you know, I'm in a fucking sweat that I drew a face on the fucking shredder, like a mad-looking face with the fucking jagged teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you motherfucker, you eat it all. And my kids all of a sudden were in the doorway going, Dad, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I go, what am I doing? You're the one that wanted me to go to Staples. Look at how much fun I'm having with this fucking thing. Let me have a good time.
The angry shredder.
But I do like taking my reality and making it funny. That's
No,
what I
it
like
was
to work
great. So
on.
how did that thing? Okay, so let's go back to where you're at Pips. You're doing the Travolta thing and the Jerry Lewis thing. You come out here. Mitzi loves you. How did the Dice It became a huge star evolve with the nursery rhymes and everything else?
Well, what happened, that was when I first started, being Dice on stage. What happened was I really didn't have any material yet. I would just practice in my mirror.
Yeah.
Because it was more about the image I'm going to present. Right? And Dice is really a heightened version of who I am as a Brooklyn guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, because when you're on stage, it's all to me about animation and putting on a show for people.
Yeah.
That they walk out, and no matter who they've seen, they remember that guy in the leather jacket.
With the cigarette lighter and everything.
Exactly. So I lit my cigarette, and I had no material, and I looked at the crowd, and I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And I took a puff at the cigarette, like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I say, I've been up here for about, I don't know, 2 minutes. Haven't told you any jokes.
Yeah.
With a straight face.
Yeah.
But I sort of just been smoking a cigarette. But you see, I could come on a stage and not tell any jokes and sort of just smoke a cigarette for a minute or two and keep your attention. And the reason I could do that is, well, the fact is, I'm just that fucking good. And it got applause. And I walked off. And then the act started building. I started, I actually would take some jokes from joke books.
Yeah.
And then I started developing the act.
And that
then,
didn't bother you, though?
What, taking jokes
Yeah.
from joke books?
What do you?
I was, in my opinion, a new comic
Yeah.
trying to find material, and it was like jokes like, because Dice loves himself so much.
Right.
Dice is all about confidence. See, most comics back then were all about insecurity.
Right.
But Dice is secure.
Right.
You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
lot of comics, when you talk to them, why'd you get into comedy? To get girls.
Yeah.
Because think of the comics through history, guys like Buddy Hackett.
Yeah.
Buddy Hackett wasn't scoring tens when he was a kid.
You liked
know
him,
what I
though,
mean?
right?
I loved him. Don Rickles,
Yeah.
the funniest guy in the world.
Yeah.
But comics were goofball-looking
Right.
guys.
Right.
They weren't like handsome movie stars.
Right.
So my whole thing was about having the confidence. So I had these jokes about being my own idol.
Yeah.
I got my own toll-free number, 1-800-PERFECT. I get up 3-4 hours early to spend more time with myself.
Yeah.
I got a mirror above my bed, so I'm the first one I see when I get up in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
It was jokes like that. And then I started developing, because of the fact I was living in Hollywood, the whole gay community thing. I didn't really see that in Brooklyn. And I had nothing against gays, but I'm going, what a great target for a Brooklyn tough guy.
Right.
The way the women acted out here, when I would go out with a girl in Brooklyn, I was a complete gentleman. If I went out with a girl for 6 months, for the first 3 months, I wouldn't even try to touch a fucking tit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Complete respect.
Right.
And then I move out to L.A., and there was a whole different set of rules out here, my
Yeah.
friend. It was like, I would try to be nice to a girl, and they go, do you live near here? I go, yeah, well, I'm right up the hill. You want? No, I'm not even hungry. Next thing you know, my balls are banging into her little fat fucking ass.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the most sweet, angelic-looking face going, I can't believe... I would have went out with this girl for a year to get some, and she's giving it to me within the hour.
Yeah.
And saying the filthiest things I've ever heard, and I'm going, okay, so that's how the game is played
Well,
here.
do you feel that diminished your respect for women?
No, I have complete respect for women.
Yeah.
I got a friend that came over to me, right?
Yeah.
And this isn't long ago.
Yeah.
And he tells me about a girl he went out with, and I go, so how'd the date go? He goes, well, I fucked her, but I'll never see her again. And I'm like, well, why not? And he goes, well, she was a real pig. She fucked me on the first date. I go, yeah, but what if you're the only guy she ever did that with?
Yeah.
What if she dug you so much that she felt the need to do that with you? So how's that girl going to feel now, knowing she gave everything to you, and now you don't want to talk to her? You thought she was sweet when you met her, right?
Yeah.
She acted nice, right? You had a great time. So he wound up marrying her.
Really?
I'm not even kidding.
That's hilarious. Because
so it's not about disrespect. It's
Right.
about taking. I love, picking on couples in the front. I could see the couples that are really into being with each other. I could see the couples that have nothing in common anymore. And I like to take sex and paint pictures, but comedic pictures of sex. That's why I come up with names like, so you take your dick and you put it in her jerk pocket.
Yeah.
Things that haven't been said, because they're picturing this jerk pocket, it's comedic. But, we live in a world where you could touch one button on your computer and you see things that I never even thought of.
No.
The filthiest fucking things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like going to that. And the only time I've seen them is when somebody will turn a computer on and show it to me.
You're not a porn guy.
Because I don't want to get... No, I got nothing against porn, but there's overload.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
you
I
know what
agree
I
with
mean?
you.
Everybody's got that little private stock.
But you're not prepared to take in that much shit.
Well, you know what? I
Your
don't
head will
want to
blow.
because
Yeah.
I don't want to get polluted, and that's what I taught my kids about when they were 5.
Yeah.
Because I
You told them
remember
not to watch porn?
Well, I remember Max coming
Yeah.
home because he's 4 years older than
Yeah.
Dylan, and a friend of his showed him stuff on the computer. I go, look, there's nothing wrong with sex, and you're going to have plenty of it. But what they're putting out there will dement your mind.
Right.
It's not normal sex. It's the filthiest stuff. And I don't want my kids. I go, you could lie to me and go to it, but you'll pollute your own mind. And I happen to have really good boys that listen to their father, and they don't go to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And now, you know what? I walked into my other son's room. He's watching on HBO the Vampire Show.
Sure,
last night.
yeah.
I walk in and all I see is a guy's face.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back, and there's a girl hopping up and down on him, but it don't mean anything to him now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
but
it's
also
like
it's not-
sex in a show,
Sure, it has
rather
context.
than a bulldog. Fucking every hole a girl's got.
Yeah.
I don't need them seeing that
No,
shit.
I think that's. I think I wish someone would have told me not to, because I think it does fuck your head up. But let's talk about the crucifixion of Dice, in at the turn of because I'm one of these guys. I have a lot of respect. You spawned a whole generation of comics. You got Rich Voss, you got Jim Norton, you got Florentine, you got guys that look
Jameson, Don Jameson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys who sort of like took your model and understood what you were about and pushing the envelope and being, just sort of a politically incorrect fucking clown on some level.
Uh-huh.
And
I used to call myself a Brooklyn bozo. I go, how come the press doesn't get that?
Well, I never understood
when
it
I'm
either.
watching Nightline and they're having a debate about me, I'm going, don't they understand I'm just a comic?
Why'd they pick you?
Well, you know what? I went to such a level to, I was doing, close to 100,000 people a week in concert. And that scared the media. So I became a lightning rod for every group looking for their own attention. So if I picked on the gays, the gays would attack me. They'd get their attention. The the Now movement, And I remember I was at a restaurant on Sunset. What the fuck is it? Mirabelle's.
Yeah.
And this woman who runs Now walked over to me and goes, now, I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm a big fan of yours.
Right.
And I'm like, look at this. Because I was with, at that time, my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Going, look at this. They're a big fan, but yet they're using me to get all this publicity for Now.
Yeah,
it just became insane.
I couldn't understand because, out of guys saying stuff about women or saying stuff about gays, yours was sort of disarmed by the fact that you do this character, and I really couldn't understand it.
Well, I will tell you, as the media attacked me more, I did get more vicious because it became almost. I didn't even enjoy my own concerts because it became more political than a joke.
So that when you did the first When the Laughter Died, that record?
No, the day the laughter died. I was doing such big places.
Yeah.
That I wanted to do a concept, the ultimate late night comedy album, which is called The Day the Laughter Died.
It's great.
What happened was it's the only double CD ever by a comic.
Yeah.
But there's no audience. There's 15 people. I did it at Rodney Dangerfield's club in Manhattan. And the whole idea was that I don't even think about material. I just come up with stuff.
Yeah.
And
do you like that record?
Do I like it? That record went gold in less than a week.
Yeah.
Mitzi said she listened to a part of it in my house and said, it's going to ruin your career. And that's when I knew how big it was going to be. Because she's going, Andrew, you're doing the L.A. Forum. She goes, why would you do this? I go, because it's never been. I go, nobody ever did that. When people would walk out on me, you hear it on the album. And fans just went crazy from it. And I take a lot of pride in that album. We actually did The Day to Laughter Died Part 2.
Rick Rubin did those, right?
Yeah. I did 5 albums with him.
Yeah.
And they've gone gold. They've gone platinum. The only one that was outselling me with albums at the time was Jeff Foxworthy.
Right.
But just in his part of the country.
Right.
So he didn't even get it.
So you were taking all this heat and all this bullshit, and then you go on Arsenio, who you knew from the Comedy Store, and you started.
And I got choked up. I know what you're getting.
Well, no, I'm just wondering what you thought, how that affected.
No,
the arc
what
of
happened? I'll tell you, it really didn't affect it. What happened
Yeah.
is Ford Fairlane was coming out the next day.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a guy about accomplishment.
Right.
I always wanted to do something special with my life, and
Right.
since I'm a kid, I knew I was going to do that. I mean, a really young kid.
Yeah.
Even when I'd be in high school and I'd be failing everything.
Yeah.
My mother would go, Andrew, what are you going to do when you get out of school? And I'm going, look at the face, Ma. What do you think? I'll be a movie star. Don't worry about it. You'll have everything you need. And that's how I really felt.
And did you give her everything she needed?
Yes. I was, my family. See, I have this expression that you have to always have a reason to be.
Yeah.
And my reason to be back then was the family that brought me up, my parents.
Because everybody always said you were good with money. You saved money. And,
Well, the thing was, I just wanted to give them everything they ever dreamed of.
Right.
And I did.
Yeah.
And then, when you have kids and you have a wife, that's the new reason.
Yeah.
Now I have a new wife.
Yeah.
And I got my sons that I want to teach them by example. And that's why, about 2 years ago is when I did start planning a whole resurgence.
Yeah.
And then every time I come on Arsenio, instead of me being allowed to just be funny, it was another debate, okay? So I just wanted to get up and tell people who I really was and what I was about and how, if you have this thing in you, this desire to accomplish something, that no dream is unattainable, but I was just being me, and I got choked up. So the only way to get out of it was to snap into character. And I'm standing there going, I can't believe I'm getting fucking choked up, because I always tell my kids, I go, sensitivity is my weakness. I go, sensitivity to me is like kryptonite to Superman. I go, it just creeps up on me, and I don't feel it. And so,
You mean you're sentimental? And
yeah, I'm very sentimental, and I got my first gigantic movie coming out the next day, starring in it, and I just wanted to let people know, like, I'm like you, but I had this dream, and I'm saying it, I'm not just coming on and go, yeah, believe in yourself, all the bullshit. I really do believe that you could accomplish in life whatever that thing is you want to accomplish.
Right.
But you got to put the work in, and you got to put blinders on, not let anything get in your way.
Where do you stand on, like, because I interviewed Jimmy Norton, and Patrice, and I love those guys. And now there's a lot of conversation about what jokes should be or shouldn't be, or political correctness. But it seems that what you came upon your thing was sort of organic. How do you answer to that shit?
But the thing is, that's why it's called jokes, because jokes are just to make people laugh.
Right.
Some of the stuff on stage, I try to make a point with. Some of the stuff on stage, I say just to outrage and make people laugh really hard.
Do you think
I do a joke where I come on stage and I go, so last night I'm with this Puerto Rican chick. I fucked her so hard her asshole popped out.
Yeah.
Did that really happen? Can an asshole really pop out?
I think so.
Like if I was a journalist, would I even ask that question?
But did you ever feel like you ever hurt anybody? Did anyone ever come up to you and go, you really?
No, never.
Right?
People
gay
love what
people,
I do.
women, nobody.
Gay people love Dice.
Right.
It just became the thing in the late '80s to
hate
go
you.
after Dice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I could sit here and go, I have gay friends, I have gay...
No, I get you.
And I do, but
Right.
I'm not trying to prove anything.
No, I
They're
get
just
you.
my friends.
And when I met you, like you and Kennison, there was this sort of like, he was doing his thing. He was starting to do big rooms. You were doing big rooms, and there was like it almost felt like these two camps. You had your guys.
Look, Sam is not here to speak for himself.
Sure.
My opinion about him, he was an absolute great comedian.
Yeah.
And I loved what he did, and I'll never forget, I was doing a television show called Crime Story with Michael Mann at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was more in the acting thing is what was going on. So
Before
Sam
you-
didn't
yeah.
feel threatened by me.
Right.
But
you
I was
knew each
working
other.
with
You
guys.
knew each other, though.
No, we were friends.
Yeah.
We used to hang out
Yeah.
when we were coming up.
Right.
But Sam got into, drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
that I would tell somebody not to get into, and he
Right.
just did it all.
You never did anything.
No, that wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
If you asked me, did I ever smoke a joint?
No,
Yeah, of
right,
course.
right.
But I would never even think of things like Coke or, I was never a heavy drinker at all. It just, my world was about get there, do something with your life.
Right.
You sucked in school. I don't even know how I graduated high school, so do something with your life. Do something positive. So I knew drugs would knock me down, and
Right.
that was it. I never even tried that shit.
Yeah.
So what happened with Sam was, I'll never forget when he got Saturday Night Live, and I came over to him in the kitchen at a comedy store, and I hugged him, and I said, you see, it could be done. You see, you could get there, because we were the last two on every night, back to back, and we were friends.
She did that on purpose, right?
Well, it was such a great show. I mean,
Yeah.
with two animals,
Yeah.
And then when Rodney put me on his special...
What year was that?
88.
Yeah.
When Rodney... I actually took a full-page ad in Variety 2 days before the special ad to let the industry know I was going to be the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah. How did you said that?
Well, at the end of this whole long poem I wrote on a full page, I said, Murphy and Pryor are great, no doubt, but in 88, it's Dice thou shout.
Yeah.
I go, I never studied much in school, but I did study.
Yeah.
And I predicted it because I wanted the industry to watch, and I knew what I did on the Rodney special, and I was prepared to do it. and I knew nobody else would even. It would all be. Everybody else was just background.
Yeah.
You know, I came on there to become the biggest comic in the world. Rodney knew it, and I knew it. I didn't want to play 3,000 seaters. I wanted to play the biggest rooms that I could fill.
When did you do Madison Square Garden?
The Garden was 90, but I did, over 300 arena shows. My first arena tour was, I think, 26 shows, and it sold out in a day.
And it was all because of the Rodney special.
Well, yeah, I went right from doing 200-seat clubs to in concert like that.
Wow.
I mean, even the agent I had at the time didn't believe I could fill an arena because the biggest place I played in New York was Town Hall. And my agent at the time, Dennis Arthur, he had guys like Billy Joel, Metallica. Those are the guys that do those things.
Yeah.
And I called him up because I never went to concerts as a kid. And I said, what would be a place like Madison Square Garden, but not Madison Square Garden? And he goes,
Well, you got Nassau Coliseum out in Long Island, but comics don't do that. Guys like Billy do that, meaning Billy Joel.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, but what if one did? So Ron Delsner said, look, I'm not going to put any money down on him, but I'll give you 90%, of what we make. I sold it out in an hour and a half.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because
so I went from 1,500 seats to now 18,000, and by the time that was sold out, every promoter in the country was calling my agent. They didn't know if I was a singer, a juggler. All they knew was this guy, sold out Nassau Coliseum.
Did you go on Stern and stuff? Or
of course. That's where we fell in love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because to this day, we have a chemistry that's unreal. Whether we fight, whether we're friends, it just works. So what happened with Sam, to make a long story short, he was playing like 3,000 seaters, which is superstardom for a comic.
Sure.
But I went into 18 and 20,000 seaters.
Right.
And it drove him crazy, and it wrecked his career, in my opinion, because fans were listening, going, "What's his problem with Dice?"
Right.
They're like from the same school,
right.
But I always looked at it. It was the drugs, it was the alcohol, it was, I wish he was still walking around. I'll put it to you that way. I do miss the guy. Because today we would be touring together. And that's the story there. And I used to actually get mad at him because even the guys that would work for me that weren't even comics, I would look to build them up on different shows like Stern. And when Sam was on there, he wouldn't talk about Carl. He wouldn't talk about any of the Outlaws. Even when he was on Carson, he didn't even introduce them. And I'm like, those are your fucking guys. Like Carl LeBeau, to me, one of the greatest comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he does every kind of character, and I'm like, that's your best fucking friend. Why aren't you building this fucking guy? That's the shit I don't like.
Well, you had a lot of guys. You were always you had guys that were loyal to you, and you had guys. Everybody had a nickname. There was always four or five guys. Yeah, I used to say to Schubert, I'm like, I don't know if I can hang
my publicist here, Jeff Abraham, right?
Yeah.
You know what his nickname is?
What?
Johnny Aces.
And you had Hot Tub?
Yeah, but now I got new guys. Okay. I don't even talk about those guys.
Okay, who are the new guys?
You know what I mean?
Who are the new guys?
We got new guys. Well, we got Ruby.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time to talk about Entourage, you figure?
Sure. So this is the career resurgence.
It was my son that told me about you.
Well, I'm glad
he said you got the greatest podcast in the world.
Well, it's all about comedy.
He listens to you all the time.
Oh, good.
So you'll have to, when he's ready.
I got to meet him.
You'll love him.
Where does he work?
You know what? He goes to all these,
the alternative rooms?
He has all these little clubs, and then he'll do the Comedy Store. But he's working on the act. He's building the act.
I wonder if I've seen him. He goes by Max Silverstein?
Max Silverstein, yeah.
Shit.
And he's really great. You
got to put me in touch with him.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
I will.
All right, so now all of a sudden you the divorce kind of crushed you. You did your family thing. You're coming around.
Okay,
you're doing the
for
spots.
10 years, I'm banging around just looking to make a living this past decade.
Was it pathetic, though?
Was what pathetic?
In your mind, were you did you feel compromised when you did the reality show? Were you really down for the count?
I always look at myself. There are two things I look at. I look at like the Elvis of comedy, but also the Rocky Balboa of comedy.
Okay.
Because the thing about the Rocky movies that I always loved, of course the fights were great.
Yeah.
But it was the life stories he was trying to show throughout that series of Rocky.
Yeah.
And every story, the first one is about, what's he going to do with his life? And he gets the shot of a lifetime, which Rodney gave me.
Yeah.
To become a champion.
Sure.
And then even, the one where he moves back home, I don't like Rocky IV because, he doesn't do the big fight. I go, but look what somebody goes through. You lose all your money. You got to go back to the old neighborhood. that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were broke?
And then, but yeah, definitely. I'm not saying I'm walking around wealthy. Trust me on that. I don't even have sleeves anymore after divorce. So, anyway, then Rocky 6 comes out called Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
And that one, he has like an argument with his own son, and he goes, now that he goes, what's so bad in your life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things
Right.
aren't going so good, so you want to blame me now?
Right.
He goes, don't you know what life is? It's not about how hard you could get hit. Wait, let me say it properly.
Yeah.
It's not how hard you hit. It's how hard you could get hit and keep moving forward. That's what life's about. But that is what life's
Right.
about, that you don't give up on you. Because in that last Rocky, he's older, wants to fight again, and obviously he gets in the ring, and no matter how old he is, you see he's still the same champ he always was.
Did you ever go through a period where you were afraid? I mean, like because I watched your first few episodes of the reality show. I didn't know what
The
was
reality show stunk, in my opinion, because my own kids who were 5 years younger.
Yeah.
So that means one of my kids, Max was 15.
Yeah.
And Dylan was 11. Okay. So we watched this rough episode of, a rough cut of, they called it The Image Change.
Yeah.
Which I hated. They're putting me in metrosexual clothes. They put a grill in my teeth. And my son said it the best. They look at the producers.
Yeah.
Because I had all this footage that they could have cut into 7 episodes.
Yeah.
I filmed my whole life like a reality show.
Yeah.
And that's how I wanted the show. And, once VH1 gave them money, they soaked the money, and the show stunk. And my kids looked at them and go, let me ask you something, because my kids were into rock and roll too.
Right.
And they go, if you did a show with Axl,
Yeah.
with Axl Rose,
Right.
wouldn't you just let him be Axl?
Right.
Why are you trying to change Andrew Dice Clay to
wanted-
something he's not?
They wanted a story.
Yeah, like I didn't mind showing him a Family Guy.
Yeah.
But let me be who I am on a day-to-day basis. Don't make the shit up. We don't have to make it up.
Right, right.
My life is fucking insane.
But did you have a time where you were like, "Fuck, I'm fucked"?
There were times, Eleanor Kerrigan's my ex-fiancée,
Yeah.
and to me, the greatest female stand-up in the country. She opens for me all over the country. And at that time, we were just boyfriend and girlfriend. And there were times I'd say, I don't know which way to turn anymore. You know what I mean? Just nothing's working. But that's the Rocky in me, because anybody else would have folded under my circumstances.
There's nowhere to go though. Where the hell are you going to go?
Well,
when
you know what? I started writing a book.
Yeah.
I started working on new material because I knew the day would come that once my kids were a few years old, I could pursue the career again.
Wow.
So
you knew that. There was never sort of like, I guess I'm going to work at a place.
No. I'm not working a gym like that asshole on CNN said.
Oh, I don't know. I missed that one.
Oh, you got to look it up.
Yeah.
It's gotten millions and millions of hits.
Yeah.
I do a CNN interview. This a couple of years ago, and this asshole of a human being, right, looks at me. His first question is, he goes, "Well, weren't you working in a gym for a while? You used to be a headline guy." And I'm like, I was doing the Beacon the next night, completely sold out.
Right. In New York, yeah.
And I look at this guy and I get mad. I go, where the fuck do you get your information? Because it's CNN. You're supposed to. They're the biggest news company in the world. And those are your questions. I've sold more tickets than any comic ever in history. That's what I take credit for.
Right.
And you're asking if I was in a fucking gym working there? Yeah, I was cleaning the toilets and sweeping the floors. I wanted to bend him over, fuck him in the ass, and paint tits on his back. He's lucky I didn't drag him over that fucking desk and give him the beating of a life to show such disrespect. That's the shit that when somebody comes at me and doesn't ask real questions, I'll fucking annihilate him because I got a tongue like a razor.
Yeah.
And that's what my gift. And I threw the fucking mic at him and I walked off, asshole guy.
So how'd the entourage thing come around?
Okay, so I'm going to try to say this that
10 years you were like sort of in the wilderness.
Okay, so now recession hits.
Right.
Okay, I got a new wife, Valerie, who's, a lot younger than me, just gorgeous.
Let's talk about that. How much younger? My girlfriend's 28. I'm 47. Where are you?
I'm 53. She's 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. But it works. You know what I mean? It works for me, I'll tell you that much. Jesus, fuck. If you saw the fucking night I had last night,
yeah.
It's fucking beyond belief what goes on in my bedroom. I love her.
You're happy.
I fucking love her. I love you, honey.
Yeah.
I'm coming home to do it in the afternoon now. No, she's just, it's not just the sex. We just relate to each other.
That's
you know,
good.
of course
Good.
it starts off with the attraction. I mean, she's Mexican, Italian, and Jewish. I mean, what
Wow.
a fucking blend. Jesus fucking
That's
Christ.
it's like Brooklyn.
Let me tell you something. You gotta like what you're looking at when you roll over in the morning. I'm telling you that right now, just man to man. Because if you don't want to pummel them fat ass cheeks with your balls, right? There's nothing happening between you, and it's always got to be there. I don't care if you're together for a year or 20
because at least
years.
you have that. Whatever happens, you got that.
You got to keep it alive.
Right.
So if sometimes you're not going through it mentally together, you got to have the physical thing.
Sure.
And if the physical thing, because with marriage, that does go up and down.
How long you been married?
You know, only a year and a half. So you know. I mean, it's an everyday affair where, you know, I always believe to treat a wife like a girlfriend. You know what I mean?
You're not scared at all?
No.
I mean, all right.
I'm crazy about her.
Oh, good.
You know, I that's what I'm saying. I'm always optimistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't believe it can't work.
Right.
Even though I've had a couple failed marriages, that doesn't mean one can't work.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking for a third.
So I'm putting my best foot forward,
Good.
and so is she. And, yeah, of course, you fight with a Mexican girl, duck.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. Just fucking duck. You know, because she does go toe to fucking toe. But I look at that gorgeous. The minute I met her, she's got like the Marilyn Monroe eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's it. I'm sunk. You know.
Well, it's good, man. I'm glad you got love and happiness.
Yeah. So what happened is, I'm playing these little places in Vegas, and you know, with the recession, I'm not making that much money. I can't even pay my bills for the month. So I had a house in Hollywood, so I sold it, and. Not to make a deal, but the ex puts like a court order lien on it.
Yeah.
So I can't touch the money.
No.
I got no money. So I go on a gambling spree in Vegas because I used to play blackjack a lot, and I'm talking, you know, for millions of dollars, up and back. So I had about $8,000.
Were you a compulsive gambler?
No, I gambled out of boredom,
Okay.
but I was really fucking good at it, you know. And I could win. Yeah, I could sit down and win $500,000, and you know, 2 shoes.
So you got $8,000.
You know, so I got $8,000. We're going to Vegas. Me, my wife, the kids, and I go, look, I'm going to have to gamble. I'm just not making enough, and in the short run, I can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, so to make a long story shorter, we live hangover the whole summer.
Yeah.
I'm talking. I was winning hundreds of thousands of dollars, buying cars, buying clothes, paying bills, and then by the end of the summer, I lose just about all of it.
So you just were on a gambling tear.
Yeah, but we
Some
were in
gigs,
every
though?
fucking suite. Every hotel had a suite for me.
Were you working?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I was making at the tables was like what I was making, performing for the week. It didn't cut. I'd sit at the table, make $100,000 for the day.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's stupid money.
What size hands are you playing?
Well, I'm playing between $5,000 and $15,000 a hand.
Yeah.
So I would look to do it quick and then go to the pool and get the massages and eat in the restaurants and go out dancing with my wife at night after the shows.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then I lose most of the money, right?
After 3 months?
Yeah. So I come back to L.A. It's September. I would call Jeff here.
Yeah.
And go, all right, maybe we'll shoot a special. Let me go win another $100,000. I'll call you in an hour.
And what did he tell you?
What would I tell you, Jeff? Come here. What would I tell you?
He said it's 1 o'clock. I'll call you at 2:30. Pick a number. I go 75,000. He called me in an hour. He goes 100.
Yeah. But I would also lose. That's the thing with gambling. It's
Right.
not like performing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be willing to lose everything to win.
Yeah.
If you're going to play scared, you're going to lose.
Right.
But through the summer, things got crazy. You look away from the cards for a minute, you ruin it, and you're losing.
Yeah.
That's a gambler.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you became a gambler.
So, yeah, I became a gambler again. So I come back from the whole summer, and I say to my wife, I go, look, I'm going over to Starbucks to meet Max. I don't want to know from show business, bills, anything.
You're
I'm
broke.
just burnt. So this guy comes walking over to me, who I haven't seen in 14 years at the time. This is last September. His name is Bruce Rubenstein. Call him Ruby, a.k.a. the Sergeant, right? So he goes down, and Bruce...
What does he do?
Well, what he was doing when I ran into him again, he was doing artwork and construction. But Bruce is a very smart guy.
Yeah.
Bruce worked for Mickey Rourke for about 15 years. Bruce wrote the movie Bullet with Mickey and Tupac. I mean, he's a very bright guy. He wasn't like Mickey's flunky or something.
Was he a gambler too? What was
no,
he
no,
doing?
no, no.
Oh,
Bruce, I haven't seen him in years.
He was just there.
Yeah, he just came walking up to Starbucks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah.
So the next day I call him. We meet for coffee again. We're just hanging out, and he's playing with his BlackBerry like everybody.
Yeah.
I was actually getting mad at him, just constantly looking at the fucking phone.
Yeah.
Because that's what people fucking do today.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even go to parties today, because of the phone.
Yeah.
Because people don't talk about anything other than, oh, look at my YouTube. What are you, a fucking astronaut? Just tell me. You're right in front of. This is people today.
Yeah.
So the second day I'm with Bruce, he's talking to me. He goes, Dice, I got to be honest. Last time I see you, you're one of the biggest comics in the world, and then I hear nothing. You're just gone. And so I told him about what the past decade was, bringing up my kids, the divorce, whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes, why don't you ever do like a walk-on, like on Entourage or something? I go, you know what? It just never happened. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, all I could tell you is Doug Ellen just loves you, thinks you're the greatest comic ever, and wants a meeting. I go, how do you know? He goes, because I'm emailing with him right now. And he's flying in from Texas. He went to some game there, some sports game.
Change your attitude about phones then? Not so bad.
So actually the meeting doesn't happen till the next day.
Yeah.
And I figure, okay, great, maybe I'll have a walk on.
Right,
I've been a fan of the show from the first season.
It was familiar to you, I guess, huh?
Really familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew every episode.
Yeah, right.
But
the life is kind of familiar to you too, right?
Well, the whole, like I would even ask Doug, like, how do you know about all this stuff? We'd have those conversations,
right.
because it's really true to life what those guys live. The parasites coming in to your fucking life, trying to get what they can out of you. All
you
that
had that
shit.
happen, right?
I had it happen from I used to walk into the comedy store handing out thousands.
Yeah.
This guy's coming over. My wife's on her last leg.
Yeah.
Can you give me $5,000?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is it up to me? But I would do it. I call it the Elvis syndrome.
Yeah.
Buy people cars, shit like that.
So maybe you got a big heart too, huh?
Well, you know what? I'm not bragging about what I do, that way. It's just what I would do. So what happened was after I met with Doug asked for my email, and we started emailing. We started having meetings, and I called Bruce, and I go, Bruce, this might be bigger than you thought. So we start hanging out through the winter. Next thing you know, I get an offer to do Entourage, but not just a walk-on, a whole character arc thing. Playing Andrew Dice Clay.
Right.
And actually my son Max winds up in it too with me, and all of a sudden everything starts coming up, because, as Doug was emailing me, you're just killing it. HBO is loving you. And it's funny because HBO's the network that made me a star, and through the winter, now Bruce has become my manager. It's like a real, true Hollywood story.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy that would go, Dice, I got to get up in the morning and dig a trench around this fucking house I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I'm going 4 months from now, there's no more trenches. And just to tell you how things are going, I mean, this show hasn't even aired yet. I'm in a bunch of the last season. And, I'll never forget Doug saying to me, he goes, look, I want to blow you through the fucking roof. He goes, if you never do another show, you're the biggest stand-up. And I'm not talking about sitcoms or movies like Eddie Murphy.
Right.
I mean, to me, Eddie's one of the biggest movie stars ever. I'm talking about straight stand-up in concert. I mean, I did the Rose Bowl with Guns N' Roses. It's 100,000 people, so that's what Doug was talking about. He goes, and I just want to blow you through the fucking roof. Doug Ellen, I call him my Quentin Tarantino. Because what Quentin did for John Travolta with Pulp Fiction, that's how Doug has taken me on.
So you're getting ready to do the act again in bigger rooms?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. We just booked Cyclone Stadium. It's a ballpark in Brooklyn.
Oh, good.
I'm doing it October 1st.
That's great.
It's not on sale yet.
Well, that's great, man. Congratulations.
So we're going back into the stadium thing.
That's great. Who are you bringing to open?
Eleanor's going to open that show.
Just the two of you?
Yeah, but I'm going to make it a very special show. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I want to start, I'll be at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. What's the day of that, Jeff? The 30th? July 30th. And that's already 2,000 seats.
Yeah.
So I'm going from 120, 150 seats a night in Vegas back into thousands of seats. and not one frame of this show has aired. All that's aired are the previews.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's starting to air now, and, you know, all the press and the media. And, you know, when you ask me, are you afraid? I'm a little fearful because it took 15 years to come back like this. And, you know, I even tell my own kids, you know, there's nothing wrong with it's like a nervous energy. You get a little overwhelmed. But like I said, the important thing is you always stay grounded. You always, like I don't live like in the mountains. You know, I live with people. I like to have my ear to the street, you know.
Go to restaurants.
Yeah, I'm not a recluse.
Yeah.
So those are the things that do keep you grounded. Hanging with your family.
Does Max like your comedy?
Max loves my comedy, you know, and we have a lot of talks about comedy, and he'll do his bits for me. And the beauty of both my sons is I taught them since they're 5 years old. Even if you're in my business, because I knew I had to break them in slowly to what I do, that never walk in my shadow. You don't want to be me.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on stage and people go, oh, he's a little Dice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You've seen that happen before.
Yeah, with other famous
brothers,
guys,
yeah.
comics. I go, be who you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, and develop what you want to be. And that's what I mean when I say to you, I talk to my kids about everything.
Here's the thing I was going to tell you, though, that in my moment, because like I'm weird, you know, even when I was just a doorman, and we didn't really know each other. I don't even know if you remember me, but
not as a doorman.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that
forget you were a doorman.
Yeah, okay, no, I'll forget it. But it was weird because you develop these attachments to people. Because I watched you every fucking night for however long I was living at that place, and I always saw you as the character. And then there was this one night, I'll never forget it. Jimmy Schubert, for some reason, got arrested. It was the middle of the night, and we didn't know who to call. And Todd Lemish, he says, let's call Andrew. And I'm like, you're going to call Dice? And he calls you up. It must have been 3 a.m. He said, Jimmy got arrested. He's at Beverly Hills jail.
Oh, that's right.
You said,
totally forgot.
You said, that's weird. I was up counting quarters. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? And then we meet you at the jail, and you show up with a bag of fucking quarters.
I always had a thing about change. I love saving change.
We're sitting there stacking rocks of like stacks
I had to bail
quarters.
them out.
Yeah, with quarters. It was beautiful.
Jimmy's a guy that did everything I told him not to do. You know what I mean? Like, especially, I used to tease him when we became friends because he used to talk about James Dean.
Yeah.
I go, look, you're never going to be James Dean.
Yeah.
And you certainly ain't going to be no Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
You know, and he would laugh at that name Johnny Depp because I just did a movie called Private Resort with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
That was right before he did 21 Jump Street.
Right.
And obviously we know who Johnny Depp is.
Yeah.
But he thought I was making the name up. You know what I mean? Because nobody ever heard of Johnny Depp.
Right,
but I just did a movie with this guy, and I'm going, he's like a little James Dean.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously we've seen what Johnny Depp became through his career.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Jimmy realized that was really a fucking Johnny Depp, he was going, I thought you were goofing on me with that name. You know, but Schubert also, you know, I told him stay off of the fucking motorcycles.
Yeah.
Don't try to be. Next thing you know, he's got pins to his leg.
Crippled.
That to this day, he still
limping
walks around like, you know, he's hobbling.
Funny guy, though. Funny guy.
Haven't seen him in years, actually.
Well, look, Dice, it was great talking to you. I know you got to go do some stuff. I'm very happy for your comeback and your recent success.
This is one of the best interviews I've